Welcome to all those who are with us here in this Zoom call today. And I'd like to start by stating who we are and why are we here. So our group is called the Awakened Travelers, and we have now a mission and a vision. As you can access our website, which is www.awakenedtravelers.com. There is much more information there, a few videos that you can check, you can see. And our idea is to start spreading this information more and more, and also teach people how to make their own contacts. So it's not only about receiving information, but confirming or to confirm this information by your own experiences. So I have the website open here, and I can read here our mission. It says to create a peaceful and prosperous galactic humanity by empowering people through knowledge, providing tools to reprogram themselves. And it's what we are doing right now. We are bringing in knowledge, our gain knowledge through experience, and we are going to provide tools for people to reprogram, because through our life, all the different systems, culture, religion, society overall has given us certain parameters where we needed to adjust, and now it's time for us to think out of the box and see things in a different, or from a different perspective. And it says we will give support to the new awakened travelers and will facilitate the connections with those in other systems of reality and other civilizations inside and outside our planet. So yes, we are waking up, so we are getting together, we are forming communities to support ourselves and to understand what is going on, because there is not a manual to those who are waking up, and we need to extend a hand to those who are in this moment of seeking new information, of feeling new realities. And again, as I told you, we are going to teach you how to make your own contacts if you're not having these contacts yet. So that's our mission. And our vision says, let's be light on earth, let's be one, to generate the state of consciousness in the Middle East region, because we are located there, but still we are spreading the word everywhere in the planet, forming different groups. And it says to open in the Middle East region so that open contact takes place by the year 2025, and through the unification process, collaborate to achieve peace in the region and the world. What is the unification process? To understand the law of one. What is the law of one? Is that every one of us is part of one infinite creator, what we have called God for so many years, and God is within us. And by understanding that we are all brothers and sisters, we will understand that we don't need to keep fighting among each other, killing each other, and starving each other. So we need to form a big human community whose goal is to be peaceful and to work together. So that's our mission and our vision. And about me, I'd like to say that I started in this awakening process in the year 2009, approximately, when what we call a UFO, an unidentified flying object, flew next to my aircraft as I was flying from Panama to Cali, Colombia. I was one of the pilots in that aircraft when this big sphere of light, very white, bright light, came next to us. And after all, when he was very close, did a 90-degree instant turn to the front and flew horizontally. It was quite an amazing experience that put me in the research of more knowledge, more information about what happened. And of course, I started asking to other pilots what they have seen, and many told me what they have seen, and actually was more than I was expecting. And they have seen during the day, during the night, amazing experiences, paranormal experiences overall, as we call them. So I understood that something was going on in the planet that I haven't been told. So that's how I started to research. Then I started having more and more experiences. Then I reached a point where I started having communication with my guides, and of course, I never had an understanding about this before. Many people don't even know that we have guides, that we come from what is called, what we could say, a spirit realm, and we don't come alone. We have guidance because we program our life to have certain experiences, and we have support all the time. So at some point, I started having communication with my contacts, and I started sharing openly my experiences because I understood that what was going on was quite amazing. I had so many confirmations in my life of this being real that I decided to be open with all my experiences, so other people that was in the same situation, in the same awakening moment, could have something to relay. So that's the whole intention. And as I started expressing my experiences publicly, more people was reaching me and telling me their stories. So I was, every time I was doing a speech or talking to someone, they were telling me their experiences. So this was feeding me as well and giving more confirmation. Amazing people just approached me, and we ended up being friends, and very interesting experiences were shared, as you will hear later on. So we have mentioned before in our waiting room that it's time to create the change, to create the reality that we want to live, and not just wait for some event, some external event to happen so we can start changing. The change comes from us, from within. This is the big work that we need to do. That's why we are here in this planet, to grow, to evolve, to expand our consciousness so we can transcend this reality and go to the next experience of evolution. Um, uh, as one of my experiences of contact with my guides, I wanted to say that, for example, I had a dream once where I was a soldier in this dream, and I was doing something military related with my friends, with my colleagues. We were rehearsing something, we were training, and after all, in this dream, I saw the Queen Elizabeth, but like 20 years younger. So it was quite amazing, and to see this so clear in my dream. So I say, oh wow, that's very interesting. I don't know why I have these dreams, but that day when I went to fly, my partner, the captain, was from the UK, the United Kingdom, and when we started talking, he told me that he was working in the army before, and he was working in the Buckingham Palace by itself. So I understood that this was not just a dream, this was a premonition, and I started this with him, and I started sharing the information that I had about UFOs, about spirituality, and amazingly enough, he told me, yes, I believe you, because uh, my grandfather, actually his grandfather, was a World War II pilot, and he wrote a book about what is called the Foo Fighters, which is these lights that they were flying around his aircraft, so he could relate perfectly with the information I was giving him. And his grandmother was a British Airways cabin crew, and he told me that her grandma saw one of these lights coming into the aircraft, flying along the aisle and departing on the tail of the aircraft. So this was one of the experiences that for me was amazing, was an eye opener. And then more of these experiences happened. So I understood that my guides were giving me uh, direction or guidance, yes, about who I needed to speak with, because they were ready to have this information. So that's how it works. That's how at least my communication with my guides happens. And I also I'm also someone writing here. I'm also connected with him when I fly and when we do the meditations. Now that we are teaching people how to make their own contacts, they show themselves in the sky through flashes or passing by. We have quite amazing experiences with them. And as Ahmed was saying, about the CE5. CE5 is the close encounters of the fifth kind, and they do the same all around the planet. They prepare themselves for contact. They call these beings, and they show up in many ways. So we are many groups in the whole planet that are working in this awakening, are working in this idea of doing something different, create our reality, and actually open our minds into these new concepts so they finally can come into our planet. And many people will say, well, now that we are going through all these difficult experiences, why they don't come and help us? You say, well, there is one law, it's the law of no intervention in the universe. So until a civilization is ready, they cannot come and just appear, and because they don't want to really to influence influence the civilization that it's growing. So the way it works is us calling for them to create a mass consciousness enough to allow them to come. So that's how it works. And if you go through the book The Law of One, which you can download for free in our website and in their website, which is LL Research. You can find all their books there, and it's amazing information that have been received from beings from other planets. So what else do I have here? I wanted to read a passage of the book. And remember, again, for those who are more advanced in this knowledge, be patient, as there are some people in the group that still want to know more about it and are at the beginning. So this is part of the Law of One book, and this group is called LL Research. They have been communicated with beings from other planets with the use of telepathy or channeling. So they receive the information in their minds, and they speak up this information. And the way that this group works for me, it's the best way. They have a very clear communication. The process that they went through, it's very interesting, and the people that it's involved, it's very interesting as well. The main researcher there, his name was Don Elkins. Don Elkins is a PhD. He also was an airline pilot, and he started investigating these ways of communications with beings from other planets. And it took 19 years for him since he started until he made contact with this collective consciousness called Ra. He also made communication with other beings. One of the races was, it's called Haton. So it says here that according to an entity called Haton, who has spoken with our group, says Don Elkin, and several others for many years, the purpose in being here of at least some of the UFOs that are seen in our skies at this time is much like the purpose that we might have in sending aid to a disaster stricken or extremely impoverished, oh my God, these words are not easy for me, very poor country, let's say. It's a desire to be of service. And Haton, this collective consciousness, this group of people from other planets, say, we have been contacting people of planet Earth for many of your years. We have been contacting at intervals of thousands of years with those who sought our aid. It is time for many of the people of this planet to be contacted. For many now have the understanding and the desire to seek something outside the physical illusion that has for so many years involved the thinking of those of this planet. The process we are stimulating is one which is self-generating. As more and more of those who desire our contact receive it and pass it on to others, then those who receive this passed on information will then themselves be able to reach a state of thinking and understanding sufficiently in tune, shall I say, with our vibrations in order to receive our contact. For this, my friends, is how contacts work. It is first necessary, if the entity is to be able to receive our contact, for him to become of a certain vibration as a result of his thinking. This is greatly speeded by involvement in groups such as this, and it's speaking about the group of Don Elkins, which is a research group, similar group as we have. And then it is finally done through meditation. In other words, the verbal communications given to the entity by the channels, such as this one, create a system of thought and a desire for spiritual awareness that raises his vibration. We of the Confederation of Planets, in the service of the One Infinite Creator, are very sorry that we cannot step upon your soil and teach those of your people who desire our service. But, my friends, as we have said, this could be a very great disservice to those who do not desire our service at this time. And we are afraid we could have little effect in bringing understanding even to those who desire it. For understanding, my friends, comes from within. We can only guide, we can only suggest. We are attempting to do this in such a way that the seeking of the individual will be stimulated to turning his thinking inward to that single source of love and understanding, the Creator. This is part of all us, part of everything that exists. For everything that exists, my friends, is the Creator. We are very privileged to have you join with us in this great service at this time in the history of your planet. For this is a very great time, a great transitional period in which many of the Earth people will be raised from their state of confusion to a simple understanding, the love of their Creator. And he continues saying, at this time, I am in a craft far above your place of dwelling. This is in 1981. I am at this time able to monitor your thoughts. These, my friends, might seem to some of your peoples to be an infringement, but I can assure you that it is not. Our capabilities of knowing the thinking of the peoples of this planet Earth are not designed in any way to infringe upon either the thinking or their activities. We do not consider the knowledge of the thoughts of others to be an infringement, for we see these thoughts as our own. We see these thoughts as the thoughts of the Creator. My friend, it may seem to you that a thought of a nature other than one of love and brotherhood might be a thought generated not of our Creator. This is not possible, my friends. All thought that is generated by the Creator. All things that are generated by the Creator. He is all things and is in all places, and all of the consciousness and all of the thoughts that exist is the thoughts of our Creator. His infinite number of parts all have free will, and all may generate in any way they choose. All of his parts communicate with all of the creation in his entire and infinite sense. Very good. So it says here, I urge you, my friends, to remember that we have brought to you. The next time that you are, shall we say, backed into a corner by the circumstances which prevail within the illusion of your physical existence, remember what you have learned and do not forget that you have worked so hard to obtain. You will choose at any time to alter your needs and desires from within the physical illusion to your being within the creation of the Father. As long as your objectives lie within this physical illusion, it will be necessary for you to be subject to the laws which prevail within this illusion. If your desires can be altered by the application of what you are learning and are lifted in the creation of the Infinite One, then, my friends, you may have a great deal more ability to remove yourself from the corners into which the illusion seems to back you. And that's what we were speaking about, create our own reality. So, as you can see, beings from many planets has been contacting us for a long, long time, or forever, shall we say, in order to help us to grow and expand in consciousness. Let's see, from my point of view, from my perspective, the most difficult issue to resolve is the one that we don't know that exists. So, of course, that from a high perspective, everything is perfect as it is. But from now, as we start to open our minds and to think out of the box, out of the planet, let's say, we need to understand that some things are um, happening in our planet that are not intended to be of our best interest or um, our benefit in terms of the whole humanity. So that's why we need to do things by ourselves and start creating our own reality. I would like also, as we are today is about ufology and how this is affecting humanity, to state that it's very important to understand, as it's stated here in the Law of One as well, that the main goal of all these beings that are trying to help is to speak about spirituality, about the growth that we should be having inwardly. Okay, it's not to be focused outside in ufology only, because what is going on in this planet, it's goes into a big rabbit hole that is never ending. And then to go into conspiracy theories is not of any advantage. It's going to take only us away from the work that we need to do within and the work that we came here to spiritually do. So the loved one here says, and Ra, this collective consciousness, these beings that are very advanced and from other realities, tell us, in truth, there is no right or wrong. There is no polarity, for all will be, as you would say, reconciled at some point in your dance through the mind-body-spirit complex, which is the human body, which you amuse yourself by distorting in various ways at this time. This distortion is not in any way necessary. It is chosen by each of you as an alternative to understanding the complete unity of thought which binds all things. You are not speaking of similar or somewhat like entities of things. You are everything, every being, every emotion, every event, every situation. You are unity. You are infinity. You are love, light, love. You are, this is the law of one. This is what they want to express. But of course, the uh, the person that is asking the question, because that's how it works in this book, Questions and Answers. It's a PhD. It's an airline pilot. He has a lot of information about the paranormal. He was a hypnotic therapist, so he could, through hypnosis, regress people to where they having lives out of this planet. So of course he needs to know, he wants to know much more. He's very curious about it. So Ra is always telling him that this information is not that important compared to the information that they are trying to relay, which is the law of one. So here Ra says, the seekers seeks the one. This one is to be found. He says the light energy of all things may be attracted by this intense seeking, and wherever the inner seeking meets the attracted cosmic prana, realization of the one takes place. So, after all, we are perfect beings, just working throughout our distortions and trying to reach a higher place. Going to the UFOs, I also wanted to share an experience I have when I was flying in the east of Africa, southeast of Africa, when it was night, was all quiet, very beautiful night. And in front of the airplane, at what we call 11, a little bit to the left, in front of us, something appeared out of nowhere. This vehicle moved into us very fast and just disappeared again. So it was quite an amazing experience to see something going out of nowhere, traveling into us and then disappearing. All that I could see in that moment was the light, as you can see a car going fast during the night that you just see the light. So it was a red and white light coming into us and disappearing. So we are going to speak in the future about dimensions, about the capabilities that these vehicles have, and I have seen it myself. Let's see. We have the questioner here is, of course, trying to get more information about the transition that our planet is living in, because he has been told that we are living this moment of change in the vibration of the planet, and he is trying to find how this transition, this change of energy is affecting the planet. And Ra is telling them, as we humans are not really ready, or have not really worked in our consciousness as we should, the transition could not be a smooth one because of the uh, polarized energy that we are generating as humans overall. So the Don Elkins, the one who was asking the questions, wants to know more about UFOs and how Ra have interacted with us before. So the question says, this shaped craft we call UFO some have been said to come possibly from the planet Venus. Could any of these be your craft? Because of course, when Ra presented himself, he said that their incarnation cycle began in Venus. So they are originally from Venus, but they don't live there anymore. And Ra says, we have used crystals for many purposes. The craft of which you speak have not been used by us in your time present memory, and however, we have used crystals and the bell shaped in the past of your illusion. And the question says, how many years ago in the past did you use the bell-shaped craft to come here? And Ra says, we visited your peoples 18,000 of your years ago and did not land. Again, 11,000 years ago. So they came 18,000 years ago, and again, 11,000 years ago. And Ra says, because he's asking about the photograph that some people have taken from this bell-shaped craft. So Ra says, we have knowledge of oneness with these forays of your present time. We are no longer of Venus. However, there are thought forms created among your peoples from our time of walking among you. So they walk among us 11,000 years ago. The memory and thought forms created therefrom are a part of your society memory complex. This mass consciousness, as you may call it, create the experience once more for those who request such experience. The present Venus population is no longer 6th density. So what he is saying is many of the objects that we see in the sky are collective consciousness creations. So that is very, could be tricky to understand, but yes, we are the creators of our reality. Everything is energy, and we can do that and much more. let's say I have a good one here, and the questioner says, I am fully aware that you are primarily interested in disseminating the law of one. However, it is my judgment that in order to disseminate this material, it will be necessary to include questions such as the one I have just asked for the purpose of creating widest possibility for dissemination of this material. So what he wants to do is to disseminate this material more, and he knows that we are attracted by this phenomena of UFO. And Ra says, this perception is only slightly distorted in understanding and learning. We wish you to proceed as you deem appropriate. So he's going to answer the questions that the questioner asked. We, in giving this information, find our distortion of understanding of our purpose to be that not only of the offering of information, but the weighting of it according to our distorted perceptions of this relative importance. That's why this book is not really easy to read, because the way it does uses the words, it's not easy to read and to understand sometimes. And says, you will find our statements at times to be those which imply that a question is unimportant. Again, he is telling the questioner that many of the questions are not important because the main thing is to understand the loved one. This is due to our perception that the given question is unimportant. Nevertheless, unless the question contains the potential for answer given, which may infringe upon free will, we offer the answer. So this, again, is not the main concern that our population should be having right now, but to understand what is going on in the planet. And here is when the questioner goes or tries to go deep into the questioning of UFOs, and have some patience, and it's going to be interesting to know what is going on. It says, the questioner, there was a portion of the material yesterday which I will read where you say, there is a certain amount of landing taking place. Some of these landings are of your peoples. Some are of the entities known you as the group of Orion. My question is, what do you mean by the landing are of your peoples? So he was questioning about who are the owners, let's say, of this UFO coming into our planet, and Ra told him that many of them are from us. So he wanted to know more. And Ra says, your people have, at this time, the technological achievement, if you could call it that, of being able to create and fly the shape and type of craft known to you as unidentified flying objects. Unfortunately, for the social memory complex vibration rate of your peoples, so for humanity, these devices are not intended for the service of mankind, but for potential destructive use. This further models the vibratory nexus of your social memory complex, such a use of words, isn't it? Causing a situation whereby neither those oriented towards serving to others, nor those oriented towards serving to self can gain energy or power, which open the gates to intelligent infinity. What he is trying to say, there are two kind of souls here in the planet trying to achieve the next level in the evolution, and are those who are service to others and those who are service to self, with the implications that we have, that I think it's quite obvious. And he says, the questioner says, are these crafts that are of our peoples from what we call planes that are not incarnate in this time? So he didn't know if he was speaking about vehicles from other realities. He couldn't believe that we have these kind of vehicles. And this was the year 1981. And of course, Ra was telling him that these, of which we spoke, are of third density and a part of the social or the so-called military complex of various of your peoples, societal divisions or structures. So it says, it belongs to you, incarnated man, flesh and bones man, walking next to you. And he speaks about the bases. The bases are varied. There are bases, as you would call them, undersea in your southern waters near the Bahamas, as well as in your Pacific seas in various places close to your Chilean borders on the water. There are bases upon your moon, as you call this satellite, which are at this time being reworked. There are bases which move about your lands. There are bases, if you would call them that, in your skies. These are the bases of your peoples, very numerous and, as we have said, potentially destructive. Okay? The questioner says, where do the people who operate this craft come from? Are they affiliated with any nation on Earth? What is the source? It says, as you intended the question, the people are those in your and other self-governments responsible for what you could term national security. And the questioner says, I am to understand then that the United States has this craft in undersea bases? And Ra says, you are correct. How did the United States learn of the technology to build those land bases or these bases in general? It says, these vehicles, there was a person known by your people by the name Nikola, and that was Nikola Tesla. This entity departed the physicality. I'm translating some words here, not reading exactly as it is because it's confusing sometimes. And the papers containing the necessary understanding were taken by people serving your national security division. Thus, your people become privy to the basic technology. It says, in the case of those people that you call Russians, the technology was given from one of the Confederation in an attempt approximately 27 of your years ago to share information and bring about peace among your people. So they wanted to balance the situation. The entities giving this information were in error, but we did many things at the end of this cycle in attempts to aid your harvest, from which we learn the folly of certain types of aid. That is a contributing factor to our more cautious approach at this date. Even at the end is power upon power greater, and your people call is greater and greater. So we are at the end of cycle where those who are ready will be able to live in higher consciousness planets, and those who are not will have to repeat this cycle of incarnation, which in our level takes 75,000 years. So he's saying that they were trying to help people to have this information, to have this knowledge, to open themselves up to this so they could grow. But of course, this was not the case. Okay, and I continue the reading. It says the questioner, I'm puzzled by this craft that we have undersea bases for. Is this technology sufficient to overshadow all other armaments? Do we have just the ability to fly in this craft, or are there any weapons like there are? Were they given to us, or are they just craft for transport? What is the basic mechanism of how they work? It's really hard to believe in what I'm saying. And again, let me make a pause here. I'm reading this because what you're going to hear later requires certain base of understanding, okay? So it says, I am Ra. The craft are perhaps misnamed in some instances. It could be more appropriate to consider them as weaponry. The energy used is that of the field of electromagnetic energy, which polarizes the Earth sphere. The weaponry is of two basic kinds. That which is called by your people psychotronic, and that which is called by your people's particle being. Okay? The amount of destruction which is contained in this technology is considerable, and the weapons have been used in many cases to alter weather patterns and to enhance the vibratory change which engulfs your planet at this time. So you see the capabilities that they have, the things that they can do with this weaponry. And this, what we are doing today, is not about putting fear into us in any way, but to expand our understanding of what is going on in this planet, to keep evolving and keep growing spiritually, internally, to take fear out of what is going on, because understanding gives power to people. The questioner says, how have they been able to keep this as a secret? Why aren't these craft in use for transport? And Ra says, the governments of each of your social division illusions decide to refrain from or publicity, so that the surprise may be retained in case of hostile action from what your peoples call enemies. So they keep it secret so they can have the surprise to attack if they have to. This is an interesting one. Remember, that's the year 1981. The questioner says, how many of these craft does the United States have? And Ra says, the United States has 573. 573. It's 573 at this time. So they have in 1981 573 of these vehicles. They are in the process of adding to this number. And speak about the maximum speed. It's amazing here. It says that the maximum speed of this craft is equal to the Earth energy squared. This field varies. The limit is approximately 1/2 the light speed, as you would call it. This is due to imperfections in design. So vehicles from our planet, from planet Earth, are capable of traveling at 1/2 of the light of the speed. So imagine where we are in terms of the technology, and this is not shared openly to humanity. And we have here a question of this mass landing, and Ra explains not to read this because I have bored you enough already, that this mass landing cannot be done because the call is not yet there. As humans, as we are not aware of this possibility, as we are not aware of what is going on around us, of course, we don't know that we can have the help of beings from other planets, of what they call the confederation of planets at the service of the one infinite creator. So I think it's my point of view that by knowing all these things, and by you yourself having your own experiences related to consciousness, contact, you will increase, or you will reach the point where you're going to create your own reality and decide that this contact is needed. And I think, from my point of view, that this contact is needed for the whole humanity to change, to receive all this technology that is available for us, and to understand the law of one. That is the most important thing. So that's why our group is based in two pillars. One is this, the law of one, because I think this book contains all the information that it's important to know nowadays. It speaks about ufology, speaks about spirituality, how our planet was created, speaks about the federation and how it works, and the contacts that some people have had, but mostly it's about spirituality, which is the most important thing. The other pillar is what we bring from the Rama group, which is a contact group started in 1974 in Peru, and a few days ago we just had a meeting with the creator of this group. Many of you were in that same conversation, and he spoke about his first contact with these beings from other planets and how they passed all the information that they carry, and that's how this mission, this contact mission, was created, and now it's in many countries. And what is just teaching people how to make contact with these beings. And to understand, of course, it's very important that the contact needs to be done among us humans, just to come together as brothers and sisters, to work for a better humanity, and to bring light to planet Earth.